Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and it is finally time for the comprehensive Warzone review. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing the entirety of Warzone Battle Royale, talking about what I like about the game, what I dislike about the game, what I would personally like to see changed or added, as well as discussing where I see Warzone going in the future. Before we get started, I want to put the same disclaimer out there that I have to do every time I review a game, especially those that are still in beta like Warzone, and that disclaimer is constructive criticism is okay, right? I mean, every single year we have this legion of fanboys coming out of the woodwork claiming that you can't say anything negative or suggest changes to the game because it's in beta, right? Well, that completely goes against the entire point of a game being in beta. Warzone is quite clearly in an early stage of development, and it's going to undergo a lot of changes in the coming months, but the developers themselves are actively looking for as much feedback as possible, and that is the point of this video. We're going to be reviewing Warzone as we see it right now. We're going to be discussing the good, the bad, and even the ugly. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get right into the review. The number one question on everybody's mind right now is, does the game suck? Was Warzone worth the hype, and is it any good? Well, in my own personal opinion, it is pretty good. Warzone is actually pretty good, especially because it's free to play. I feel like Warzone is a solid foundation for a very good Battle Royale game, but I personally don't see it becoming a top tier Battle Royale game until a number of improvements are implemented and a number of features are added. Let's go ahead and look at the core design of Warzone itself. It's 150 player Battle Royale on a giant map that usually consists of 50 teams of 3. You drop down into the map, you find guns, you kill enemy players, and you play as the circle gets smaller and smaller until there is one team left. This of course is all pretty standard for Battle Royale, but Warzone changes up this formula quite a bit with a number of unique features. For starters, I think this is the biggest point of contention for me personally, we have the plunder system. Throughout the entire map you find cash, and once you have enough money on you, you can purchase things from buy stations. Here you can buy things like armor and field upgrades and kill streaks and drop kits, and even bring your teammates back from the dead. While I really like the ability to buy your teammates back into the game, I think that's a really good feature. We're going to be discussing that later on in the video, and for right now, I want to focus in on the drop kit marker system because, in my opinion, this is the main feature that needs to be removed from Call of Duty Warzone. Now, I know this is probably an unpopular opinion. People seem to really like drop kits, but in my opinion, not only are they a crutch system that defeats the entire point of looting, but it also adds some pay-to-win mechanics into the Warzone experience as well. If you guys don't know, players who download Warzone for free have to level up their characters and their weapons exclusively through Warzone itself. This means that not only will these new players have access to less weapons than the people who already owned Modern Warfare, but they also have to unlock all of the attachments for those weapons, and that takes forever as compared to people who own the full-priced multiplayer game, right? You can hop in and play one game of Shipment and level up your gun a ton, or play lots and lots and lots and lots of Warzone to get basically the same effect, right? So for all these free-to-play players, they're struggling with those classes because, one, they don't have any guns really, whereas everyone else does, and they don't have any attachments either, whereas everybody else does. Warzone tries to combat this by implementing systems that give you weapon experience for doing things that don't even result in kills, like for example, if you're completing contracts, that gives you weapon experience, but this still appears to be a lot slower than simply grinding out your guns in the normal multiplayer. On top of that, like I mentioned earlier, drop kits completely defeat the entire purpose of looting, and it also seems to slow the game down a ton. Your typical strategy, and I'm sure you guys do this every single game, is to drop down into the map, go to a somewhat safe location, run through a couple of buildings, and then combine your money with your teammates to buy a drop kit marker. Because of this, within 2 or 3 minutes of you landing on the ground, every single match, you and your teammates are completely decked out with your favorite guns, your favorite attachments, and your favorite perks. From that point forward, looting is completely pointless. The only time that looting will even be remotely necessary after that point in the game is if one of your teammates dies and you need to get them new weapons, or maybe get the cash to bring them back, or maybe you just want to save up enough cash to buy armor or UAVs for the late game. But aside from that, again, looting is completely pointless, and because the Warzone map is so giant, literally everybody chooses to have a sniper rifle in their drop kit, and because, again, looting is pointless after you get that drop kit, the game starts to slow down because you don't have to run around whatsoever. While I don't think anyone's going to try to deny the sheer beauty of the Warzone map, I mean, it's absolutely freaking gorgeous to look at, I do think that a lot of people will agree that the map is way too big and far too dense. Because every player on the map who did not die at the very beginning has their perfect setup within maybe 5 minutes or so of the game starting, the current meta is for teams to take positions on top of rooftops or within random buildings and basically just wait until somebody tries to rush them or the zone forces them to move. This is why I believe drop kits should be removed from Warzone, because in other Battle Royale games, people are moving around a lot more because they need to. There's an actual need to go around the map because you need to find shielding, you need to find armor, you need to find healing, you need to find better weapons or maybe even better attachments or perks or any of these things. There's a looting aspect to Battle Royale games, and that is what keeps people moving. In Warzone, looting is completely irrelevant. You have everything you need within 2 or 3 minutes of the game starting, and there's no real need to get anything after you have your drop kit, right? I mean, the only healing item in the game is a stim that isn't even all that helpful because you have to lose all of your armor before taking health damage, and armor plates themselves aren't really all that rare to find whatsoever. You basically just call in your drop kit for the entire team at the very beginning of the match, everybody gets their favorite setup, and then you loot maybe 2 or 3 buildings until you have enough ammo, and then you're basically just done. There is nothing in the game forcing you to move or do anything besides the zone coming in. There are objectives, I suppose. You can grab contracts to get extra cash, but like I said, you don't even really need that cash outside of the end game, so it's like, what's really the point of moving around? I can't think of a single instance. I've also been streaming a lot of Warzone here on the main channel and on my second channel. I think I have maybe 10 hours streamed, and you guys have been watching me play. Like, there has not been a single instance where another team has rushed us. It's always us rushing another team, and then typically they end up killing us by sitting in a building or sitting on top of a rooftop, and occasionally it works out. Occasionally we win playing like that, but it seems like nobody wants to move, and I feel like it's because looting is a non-factor, and there's no reason for them to move until the zone forces them in. But yeah, that's my biggest suggestion. I think they should remove drop kits entirely, and instead they should add a lot more loot and weapons to the map itself, which should get things moving along pretty nicely. Now, speaking of looting, I will say that I enjoy how streamlined it is, right? Automatically picking up ammo is nice. The inventory system for dropping ammo and money and armor for your teammates is very simple and very nice. I like passive health regeneration. I wasn't sure I was going to like it, but it's a pretty good system in my opinion. And the armor system is simple yet effective, right? All in all, I feel as though the looting system that we have here in Warzone is good. I just wish that looting was actually something that was necessary outside of the first 5 minutes of the game. I also feel like the quality of life improvements that were implemented for Warzone are good as well. I mean, the gulag system is incredible. It's very interesting. I love going into the gulag because typically I find a way to win it, and even if you don't, your teammates can still bring you back by purchasing you at a buy station, right? Those are really good quality of life improvements that in theory should speed up the gameplay quite a bit because dying is not as big a deal as it is in other Battle Royale games, but unfortunately so far I feel like these mechanics are being outshined by the sheer size of the map and the speed of the zone. No matter how small the circle seems to get, it's not uncommon whatsoever to be walking into the next to final circle with like 50 or 60 people still being alive on the map. That's because Warzone's map is so massive, but most importantly, it's so freaking dense. I mean, have you guys ever called in 3 UAVs at one time and got the advanced UAV which shows every single player on the map? Next time you do that, go ahead and just check out one of these city areas, because I promise you, there's gonna be like 20 people in that city all sitting next to each other, completely unaware of the other team even being there. And that's because all these cities and areas are filled with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of buildings, and most of those buildings are anywhere from 3 to 10 stories tall. Like, so many people are alive at any given time, yet no fighting is happening because the map itself is so dense. While I think it's amazing that dying doesn't have to necessarily be the end of your game, you can end up coming back, having players come back doesn't necessarily speed up the gameplay whatsoever. We're seeing that being implemented so far with Warzone. It doesn't matter how many people are on the map. If people don't want to move, they're not going to move, and even if they do move, they're going to have a hard time finding other players because of how densely packed every single area seems to be. I feel like a number of things can be done to combat this. Number one, like I mentioned earlier, removing drop kits would force players to move around the map a lot more because they have to actually find things like weapons and perks and equipment and things like that. Number two, I feel as though they should decrease the size of the initial circle to try to get people to be a little bit closer to each other. I mean, for crying out loud, the opening circle is basically the entirety of the map, and it takes forever to finally start coming in. Number three, I feel as though they should speed up the zone and increase the damage that it does, so people are more likely to not hang out by the edge of the zone, but rather try to move around a little bit. And number 4, and I know this is a super popular request right now, I feel like they should up the player count to 200. If they were to do this, they would probably have to rebalance other areas of the game, like for example, how long the gulag is open, or perhaps adjust the cost of bringing your teammates back to life at the buy stations. But either way, I'm definitely interested to see how the metagame and the pace of Warzone is going to change over time. On top of all this, I would like to see Warzone feel more like its own game, if that makes any sense, right? Right now, all of your kills and your progress that you make in Warzone are basically just tied to your multiplayer, which I suppose is fine. I mean, it helps people get to 155 faster, but like we've all been saying since the very launch of the game, once you hit level 155, you're basically done for that season, and you're waiting a couple of months for the new season to begin. Once you get that rank, there is absolutely nothing for you to work towards, and all of your experience is basically useless until that next season. I think the reason why Warzone is tied to multiplayer is because of the free-to-play aspect of the game mode. Since while you're playing Warzone, you're leveling up your multiplayer rank as well as your multiplayer weapons, players might be more tempted to purchase the full game because they already have a rank in multiplayer with a bunch of guns and attachments unlocked, but even then, I still feel like having a separate prestige system in Warzone would be the best thing for the mode going forward. With a separate leveling system, we could see Warzone-specific rewards being added, like weapon variants, special operators, as well as camos, and it would also be nice to have a completely separate combat record for Warzone as well. Just basically take everything we're doing in Warzone and contain it within Warzone. I think that's the best thing for the game going forward. I do see a number of people saying that they like that Warzone goes towards your multiplayer rank, but again, once you get to 155, you're done. It's completely pointless. Everything you do is for naught until that next season begins. So yeah, even making it to 155 is not really that big of a deal. It'd be much better, in my opinion, to have a separate leveling system and a prestige system for Warzone that would give you a lot more rewards. On top of that, I would like to see more things to do within Warzone itself, because right now, the only objective is to basically win, right? If you don't win the game, I mean, you get some experience for your level, which we've established is pretty pointless. You get that, I guess, but that's pretty much it. If you look at Blackout, we had features like the number skins, as well as the Blackout-specific characters you could unlock, either by leveling up in Blackout or by completing specific challenges with items that you find on the map. And then later on in the Blackout lifecycle, we of course saw a camo system being added. These may not sound like amazing features at first, but if you really think about it, they gave you something to do and something else to work towards while playing Blackout, which meant you weren't nearly as frustrated when you made it to the final circle and you died to that guy laying in a bush, or if you died to that guy sitting in a corner in a building. Even if you didn't win, you were still working towards various other things, and that's something I feel as though we need to see in Warzone as well. Because this is likely going to be the only Call of Duty Battle Royale game to release in the next couple of years, this means that fans are likely going to be playing Warzone for a while, so I feel like giving players an incentive to do so, and more rewards for doing so, should be at the top of the priority list for the developers. Overall, I would like to say that the core gameplay of Warzone is really good. I enjoy the time to kill. The health and the armor systems are very streamlined, but they're nice. It's not too complicated. It's just go out there, have some fun. You have your health, you have your armor. It's very simple. And I even like things like hearing enemy gunshots from miles away because it gives you an idea of where people are, which is crucial for a map that is this densely packed with buildings and windows and things like that. I also like the footstep audio. I've heard a lot of people complain that the footstep audio is too quiet because by default you can barely hear it, but I feel as though that's a good thing because it gives the advantage to the team that's moving, not the team that's sitting in a building listening for footsteps, right? We see that in the multiplayer enough. It's nice to have a change of pace while playing in Warzone. I also like how you can only have one kind of lethal and one kind of tactical at a time, because this forces you to make some very important decisions. Choosing between stim shot and heartbeat sensor, for example, is an important decision that will drastically affect your gameplay experience, and it's nice that players are forced to make these tough decisions. I don't like how vehicles are shown to everybody on the minimap because it basically punishes players for trying to traverse the map quickly, but aside from that, I do feel like Warzone is an incredible foundation for a Battle Royale game. My biggest gripes, to reiterate one more time, are how slow it currently plays and how looting is essentially pointless, and I do think there is a lot of potential potential for the game to grow. I think there's a lot of potential with the contract system as well, especially if they decide to make looting more prevalent within Warzone. But overall, those are my first impressions of Warzone. I feel as though it's pretty fun to play, and there's a lot of potential for it going forward. I mean, you look at Blackout, right? Look at the Blackout beta. It was very bare bones, but over time they grew it and it continued to evolve, and it became a very enjoyable experience for a lot of players. Well, I think the same thing is going to be happening to Warzone, right? But the question is, how far are they going to take it? How many changes are they going to implement? Will they do something as crazy, dare we call it, as removing the drop kit system, because the game's kind of built around the drop kit system, or will they leave it there forever? And if they do, are they going to try to implement other things to try to get people moving around to actually go back to looting things again? There's so many things they could do. The possibilities are literally endless, and that's why I'm going to pass the question off to you guys. What do you think they should do with Warzone going forward? I would like to say that I put a bunch of my suggestions on Twitter, and Marksman did respond to it by saying that a lot of these changes are already in development, which is definitely nice to hear, because he, of course, was flown out to the Infinity Ward Studios to play the game early. So they are going to be changing a lot about this game going forward. The question is, what exactly are they going to change, and what do you personally think they should change? Leave your thoughts and feedback down in the comments. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider leaving it a like, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.